Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of Tata Steel 2021 chess tournament. And in the round 3 I have a beautiful game between Nils Axel Grandelius versus Pentala Harikrishna, and Grandelius was unbeaten for 2 rounds, and in the round 3 you see the game. So Grandelius was white and he was facing Pentala Harikrishna and he was black. So Grandelius was white and he begins with the move pawn to e4. So e6 by Harikrishna, French defense, d4, d5, pawn to e5, advanced variation, so c5. So c3, queen to b6, knight to f3, bishop d7, and bishop to e2, all standard stuffs on the board. So c captures on d4, c captures on d4, and bishop to b5. Well, trying to exchange the light square bishops. So white castle, bishop captures on e7, bishop captures on e2, queen captures on e2, and knight to c6, knight to c3, and knight Qe7, queen to d3, and rook to c8. And here white came up with the move rook to d1, but let us see another move, that is bishop to g5. So bishop to g5 and now knight to g6. So queen to b5, offering a queen exchange. So queen captures, knight captures, and pawn to a6. The a7 pawn was attacked. So move your pawn to a6. So pawn to a6 and knight to c3. Knight went back and h6. And bishop went back to d2. So bishop b4 and now pawn to a3. Like somewhat white want to kick the bishop, so bishop captures on c3 and bishop captures on c3 and black castles, rook ac1. And here this is a promising position and somewhat both players has equal chances to prove the decisive result. So let's go back after the move rook c8. Sorry, wait a minute. So after the move rook to c8, white played rook d1, and now Harikrishna responded with h6. So bishop to d2. So h6. So let us see another move, that is knight to b4 instead of the move h6. So let us see this as well. So knight b4, attacking the queen. So queen to b5 check. So queen has to be traded off. So queen captures and knight captures and knight ec6. And this position, like black has some advantages. So let us go back h6. So h6 on the move number 12 and bishop to d2 by white, knight to g6 and pawn to h4. Well, white starts to push the pawn. So h4. Now bishop to b4. So bishop to b4. So let us see another move, that is queen captures on b2, but this is a very stupid move because this move is losing for black, and h5. So now knight Ge7. If you move like knight Ge7, then white will play knight a4. So knight to a4 and the queen on b2 is trapped. So if I move like now, knight has to be gave up because yeah, knight to last knight to h5, so h4. So here knight captures, then you bring back to b6 and you save. But this is why to play queen to b2, but this is a wrong move. Just I want to show it for you so that I place it over the board. So queen captures on b2, h5, knight Ge7, and knight to a4. The queen is trapped. So let us go with h4. After the move h4, black went bishop b4. So knight to a4, attacking the queen. So queen to c7. And here pawn to h5, knight Ge7, and bishop to f4. So queen to a5, and now like attacking the knight, so b3, and now pawn to b5, again attacking the knight, so knight went back to b2, so bishop a3, and queen went back to e2, so double rook a b1 and rook to c7, so knight to d3 and queen to b6, well, knight to queen to b6 and b4. Well, the threat was b4, so that black took his queen back to b6, so b4, a5. So we'll somewhat try to open up the b file, so maybe black goes for the move pawn to a5, which happened in the game, so a5. Well, let us see another move, that is knight captures on d4. Knight captures on d4, queen captures on d4, and bishop e3. The queen on d5, so the d4 is somewhat trapped over here. Well, yeah, and this may be losing for black as well. So in the game, black went after the move b4, a5. So pawn captures on a5, knight captures, and bishop went back to e1. Sorry, c1. So yeah, bishop went back to c1. So let us see another move that is very interesting, that is knight ge1. Looks better in this position, I think so, but in the game bishop c1 was played. After the move knight to a5, knight captures on a5, bishop to c1, and bishop captures on c1, rook b captures on c1, and rook captures on c1, rook, so knight captures on c1, and knight to c4. So getting the knight from the wedge square of a5 to the center, like somewhat center over here. So knight to c5 was played in the game, and knight to b3, rook a8, and rook to c1, knight to c6, g3, or like somewhat to play king to g2. So there was another move looks better, that is rook a1. So wait a minute, rook a1, and now knight to b4, and this is also in the position is of black favor. So g2, g3, g2 to g3, and rook to a3. Well, the rook is nicely placed on a3, and knights are very well placed. The queen is coming up, and this is very good for position for black. So rook a3, king to g2, and queen e7, building the pressure on the a2 pawn. So rook to c2, defending the pawn on e2. So let us see a move that is like queen to d3 instead of rook to c2. So for queen to d3, and then this is looks better in this position, and like you give up the pawn, but no matter, the queen is well placed, and yeah. So queen to d3, so rook to c2, and knight to b4. The another knight joins the party, so attacking the rook. So rook to c3, and knight captures on a2, and rook to d3, rook captures the knight, so rook captures, and you have knight to c1, forking rook and queen. So queen has to move, queen to c2 has to be played, knight captures, and queen captures on b3. So queen to a4, queen to a4, and queen to b1 went back. So let us see a move that is, wait a minute, so yeah, after the move queen to a4, let us see like queen captures, then pawn captures over here, then knight to e1, so a3, knight to c2 has to be played to stop the a pawn to queen, so pawn to g6, and g4. So somewhat like endgame techniques has to be used over here to win the game, and this is an easy position for black to prove the result. So let us go back. Like after the move queen a4, white went queen b1 and pawn to b4, and in the move number 38, Nils Grandelius returns the game, and what a wild game, what a solid game by Pentala Harikrishna. And in the round 1 and round 2, Harikrishna drew his game, but in the round 3, he make a solid comeback by scoring an amazing win against unbeaten in this of round 1 and round 2 of Tata Steel, and this is a very wild game, you can say. And stay tuned till the end. I'll be covering some more games from the Tata Steel 2021, and I will see you soon in the next video. So thanks for watching, and bye bye.